Buckle in, sports fans. You're listening to The William Haynes Show. The program will be starting in just a couple of minutes, so grab your popcorn and get ready to enjoy the show. While you're waiting, make sure you're following us on social media at WHBC Stream and staying tuned to WHBCStream.com. We're so glad to have you today on the program, and we'd love to hear from you. Drop us a line on Twitter or call the show 352-639-0036. And thanks again for tuning in.
HBC. Well, it is a good evening to you and how you be. William Haynes here, you there, here on this Tuesday night at 10:40 with 46 seconds to go right along with it. Many good, positive things to discuss here tonight. Of course, the Rays 6-3 win over the Yankees in the Bronx, the House of Horrors, as it has really been known for the Rays. We also have a weekend's worth of Rays baseball to recap. A 2-1 series victory in Buffalo against the Blue Jays, and the Tampa Bay Lightning now hold a 3-1 lead over the Columbus Blue Jackets. Game 5 will be tomorrow at noon. Hopefully they can put that series on ice and put that series a year ago to bed. About a week ago we had a monologue on that. Definitely dig that up if you have not already heard it. It's about 10:41 now. We'll do the sports updates on the 20s. So at 11 o'clock sharp, we will give you the MLB scores that are going on right now. A lot of scores have gone final, many in the late stages. And talk Rays baseball, we have a phone line, and it is open for you at 877-566-1020. We would love nothing more than to hear from you tonight. It's a little bit of a different show for me. If you've been following me on Twitter at WHBC Stream, you would know we packed up the WHBC studio in Clearwater, Florida. Took it about 4 hours north to Tallahassee. I'm a freshman here at Florida State and getting all that underway. I have to give a big shout out to my dad who helped me do the move and assist me sometimes in keeping the lights on in the WHBC studios and listens to the show frequently. So, Dad, if you're listening to this, thank you for all your help. It is much appreciated. And for anyone else listening live here on this Tuesday night, the phone line to call, 877-566-1020. We'll be with you. We'll try and make a push until midnight, but no guarantees depending on how many calls we have. We'll probably dictate that. We will start with the Rays weekend in reviews and give you some of the roster moves the Rays have made over the past couple of days, and then go in depth breaking down this game and everything else that's going on in the sports world right now. The NHL and NBA playoffs are raging on. Game 1's mainly in the NBA right now, including an upset, the Magic over the Bucks. But we'll get into that all later. On the monitor, we have the Lakers and Blazers, and the Caps trying to avoid elimination. They are down 3-0 over the Islanders, and it looks like they have gone final, so the Caps will at least hold on to see another day, so we'll get some other games on the monitor. But without further ado, again, line to call, 877-566-1020, internationally toll-free number. Some of the roster moves the Rays have made as of late. Jose Alvarado will be out about 10 to 14 days on the injured list. He had a doctor take a look at him in New York City, I'm assuming probably yesterday during the off day. The diagnosis was a lat strain, which I know he's had some oblique issues. I'm not sure if he's had any history with the lat, but if it's just a strain, hopefully he'll be back. He had a rough go on Friday night against the Blue Jays in a game that they got trounced 12-4. So he's not looking great. That's kind of a reoccurring theme with Jose Alvarado. He has a couple really bad outings, and then they put him on the shelf on the injured list. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how that goes, if they can get him back in those estimated 10 to 14 days, and how will he look when they get him back. The bullpen in decent shape, I would say, right now. The starters' performance over the weekend and the off day on Monday certainly helped things. Drake, I'll talk about that now. He's still on the injured list. He will start a throwing program down in Port Charlotte in a couple days, so hopefully they will have him back sooner rather than later. A right-hander, but is also pretty good at getting lefties out. He's got a killer splitter. Certainly a guy that's missing more nowadays, now more towards the back end of the bullpen with the way things are shaking out. Charlie Morton also on the injured list. He threw a quote, intense bullpen today down in Port Charlotte, and he could return to the Rays this weekend in their series in St. Pete against the Blue Jays. As far as ESPN goes, the projected starters, as it's obviously on a 5-day rotation, the Rays looks like they're going to have their starters set, so maybe someone gets bumped, gets an extra day's rest. We'll see. Obviously, he's not going to come in relief. It's a 4-game set. On Friday, it's Yarbrough. Saturday, Chirinos. Sunday, Snell. And Monday, Glasnow. That 4-game series against the Blue Jays. But they're saying he may be ready to come back this weekend. We'll see who'll get bumped. Maybe Chirinos. Hard to tell with Chirinos just coming back. He threw just under 3 innings his first start a few days ago. Also, Brandon McKay. He will undergo, I believe, season-ending shoulder surgery on his throwing shoulder, which is his left shoulder, and he'll be out probably until the spring of 2021. They were saying that they can't know how long it's going to be until the surgery actually happens, and they can kind of take it from there. Brendan McKay, a guy that's dealt with that shoulder issue, I guess dating back to spring training. They've been really cautious with him. Obviously, one of the Rays' top prospects, a two-way guy. If you recall, last season in his first start against the Rangers, went 5 innings, I believe, without giving up a hit. So he had a no-hit bid in his first major league start, and then he had a couple of home runs, I believe, as a DH. So certainly a guy that the Rays want to protect, and I understand during the 60-game season, guys aren't fully built, and he was dealing with that shoulder issue anyway. It's understandable that they were kind of keeping him in the bubble wrap, and I guess they shut him down, I believe, last week, and I assume probably to take an extensive look at that shoulder, and they determined that he needs to undergo surgery. If they're predicting that he can be back for spring training next season, that would be a big plus, because obviously the 60-game season is kind of weird. But if you can get back to normal in 2021 with Brendan McKay, hopefully in your starting rotation, I know this year that certainly would have helped, but looking forward to 2021, I think that will line up quite nicely. The Rays made a couple of trades, picked up Edgar Garcia, a right-handed pitcher from the Philadelphia Phillies. Not a lot of major league experience. He's 2-0 with a 5.77 ERA and 45 strikeouts. Known for an 87-mile-an-hour slider that has a lot of RPMs on it and is good at getting hitters out. So that would be a nice piece in the bullpen. They did option him to, I believe, the alternate site in Port Charlotte, so not ready to come up to the bigs yet. But they did have to make a spot on, I believe, the 40-man roster. So they DFA Daniel Robertson. So this could be the end of the road for D-Rob, a former first-round pick of the Rays, and a guy that really hasn't worked out. He can play all over the infield on defense, second, shortstop, third base. I believe might have had a start or two at first, or at least an appearance. Not sure if he has ever played the outfield, but a guy that could play just about anywhere. The hitting wasn't, it came in spurts. You think a couple years ago there was the walk-off grand slam against the Marlins, probably one of his more notable moments, but just couldn't piece it together, couldn't keep it consistent. You look at a guy like Joey Wendell, a guy with a similar skill set. Wendell, I think, is better offensively and defensively. He's looked good with the bat, has gotten on base a lot, been a valuable piece in the lineup, but also defense, being able to relieve Willie Adames at shortstop. Wendell can also play third base, second, and the corner outfields. I don't believe he's played the corners recently, but dating back to 2018, I know he did that pretty extensively and was good in that duty. Brandon Lau, a guy who was in right field tonight. So the Rays have all kinds of infield/outfield types. So they DFA Robertson. As far as guys that could, obviously Robertson, one of the only guys who can play shortstop. Other options, Joey Wendell, obviously who's had time at shortstop this year already. Mike Brasso, who's had some time during infield drills before games and practices, whatnot. Lucius Fox and Vidal Brujan, both guys in the alternate site in Port Charlotte, top prospects, versatile infield types that can play shortstop if need be, injuries to Wendell, Brasso, what have you. So they trade for Edgar Garcia, who was DFA'd by the Phillies. In order to make room, they DFA Daniel Robertson. Obviously, if D-Rob clears waivers, you would expect the Rays to bring him back, and I guess he'll have minor league options or whatever the case may be. But a guy like a former first-round pick that has flashes, kind of flash in a pan type, can be good with the leather and also the lumber at times, can be streaky. Would expect the team to pick him up just because he's probably better than a lot of guys on waivers right now. And if you have a spot for him, I mean, maybe the Miami Marlins, teams like that are dealing with kind of some injuries. Wouldn't be surprised to see Robertson go elsewhere, and obviously the Daniel Robertson era in Tampa Bay will have come to an end at that point, but we'll see if he clears waivers, and we will keep you updated on that. 10 minutes until the break. Remember, number to call, 877-566-1020. We'll be recapping tonight's Rays 6-3 win over the Yankees here shortly. Just wanted to touch on the games in Buffalo that I missed this weekend. On Friday, not much really to say. A 12-4 loss to open the series. Brandon Lau with 3 RBIs early, I believe an RBI single and a 2-run homer, puts the Rays up 3-0 heading to the bottom of the second. So you think maybe the Rays, continue to roll after they sweep a 4-game series in Boston, but it was all Blue Jays after that. Obviously, they scored the 12 runs. 11 of those 12 were scored via a home run. The 12th run was, I believe, on a wild pitch. So the long ball was big for the Jays on Friday night. The starter, which I think is really the most important part, even though the Rays lost, it was Trevor Richards going 4 1/3, giving up 3 earned runs. So all things considered, that's not a bad start. Just needed innings. That was, I believe, Charlie Morton's spot in the rotation. Obviously, Morton's still on the injured list. Richards, a guy who threw, I believe, 4 innings on that Sunday contest against the Yankees, after Morton, I believe, only got through 2 and had to go on the injured list, obviously, because of that, I believe it was a shoulder soreness or something along those lines. So I think Trevor Richards has proven to be a valuable asset. The start, obviously, giving up 3 earned runs in 4 innings. Not fantastic, but win or lose, that game was all about just giving the bullpen a rest and giving yourself a chance in the Saturday and Sunday contest, which they did just that. Also, Jose Alvarado, just 2/3 innings pitched, gives up 4 earned runs, I believe a couple of blasts, or maybe just 1, but obviously he did not look good. That was his last appearance, and obviously now, today, we just got news that he's going on the injured list with what the Rays believe to be a lat strain. So it'll be about probably 10 or 14 days before we see him again, which certainly is not good, but Jose Alvarado has not been fantastic so far this year. So hopefully he can come back from the injured list, take a little bit of a breather, take a little bit of a break, and come back at him and really be the Jose Alvarado of 2018 and early 2019. But he's really struggled to find his form since, struggled with control, all of that. We know from the fastball can get guys out from there. He's got wicked movement on said fastball, so hopefully he'll come back in due time. Also, a Saturday/Sunday contest. It was a 3-2 win. The game was suspended in the 4th inning for rain. The Rays at that time were up 1-0. They put up a run early on in the contest. The rain was coming down pretty hard in Buffalo. We didn't know if the game was going to continue, and it got to the point where the rain delay had gotten so lengthy that they decided to postpone it to Sunday and would play a quasi doubleheader, with the second game, instead of being a full 9-inning, would become a 7-inning contest. So they did move some things around. There was talks that maybe, since the Rays were only going to go to the Bronx from Buffalo to continue the road trip, that maybe they could play that game on Monday on the Rays off day. But that fell through when the Blue Jays had a game scheduled then. So they decided to move it to Sunday. So we head to early Sunday. On Saturday, to start off the game, it was Ryan Yarbrough getting the start, obviously because of the rain delay. He finishes 3 innings pitched, no earned runs on 4 hits, only throws 51 pitches, so he should be pretty well rested for the next start. And then it was the second start, if you will, obviously because you can't start Ryan Yarbrough the next day. It was Jalen Beeks going 2 1/3, gives up an earned run on 6 hits, got innings, and allowed the bullpen to do what they do. It was Peter Fairbanks, Diego Castillo, Aaron Loop, and Nick Anderson combined for 3 2/3 scoreless innings. And I think in a 3-2 game, that was really the difference maker. The game was tied at 2 in the 5th inning, and then we go to the top of the 9th. It was Brandon Lau, the American League Player of the Week, in fact, with a solo home run, and the Rays closed it out, obviously, in the 9th for that 3-2 win. And then the second game of Sunday, it was a 7-inning was the schedule. The Rays win 7-5 in 8 innings. It was Yonny Chirinos, his first start back from the injured list, with the right tricep inflammation, so that we weren't sure what we were going to get. There was talks anywhere from 3 to 5 innings, and I had expected him to just get 3, which helps with the bullpen. You don't have to go with the pure opener Ryan Thompson for an inning, which we may see during this Yankees series. But Chirinos is final line 2 2/3, gives up 2 earned runs on 5 hits. His first start back, threw 50 pitches, so it may take him a while to build back up. I'm not sure with the triceps how exactly they are going to work that. He gave up 2 runs before recording it out. I believe it was a walk or a single, and then it was a home run. So things did not look good at all to start out, but they kind of settled down a little bit. No walks, 3 strikeouts. He had the slider and the fastball combo working. So hopefully we'll be getting Yanni back with the way he's been. It looks like his next scheduled start is going to be on Saturday night against the Blue Jays, against Hyunjin Ryu, if things continue to shake out that way. So that'll be interesting to see him face that Blue Jays lineup a second time straight. So hopefully that works out. And then it was Yoshi Tsutsugo with a 3-run homer that made it 3-2 Rays in the 4th. So you think they can overcome that rough start from Chirinos. And then it was Ryan Thompson and John Curtis combined for 2 1/3 innings of 3 earned runs, 2 homers between them. And it was 5-3 Blue Jays after 4 innings. So then the Blue Jays take the driver's seat once again. The Rays tie it 5-5 in the 7th. Remember, this was a 7-inning game, and the Rays were down to their final out, in fact. It was a Yandy Diaz hit. I believe it was a fielding error that allowed a run to score that tied it up in the 7th. So we go to extras. So we go to the 8th inning, which is considered an extra inning. It's weird to see a game and then the /8 innings. It was Willie Adames with a 2-run homer. Remember, it was Ji-Man Choi to automatically start off the inning at second base. And the Blue Jays did not score any runs, and the Rays go on to win that one 7-5. It was Sleggers, the scoreless 8th, so he gets the save. So a nice bounce-back performance from him. I believe he was optioned after that game. And it was Aaron Loop getting the win. I mentioned that because he's now 3-0 on the year. So Aaron Loop, not a guy that's been fantastic, but it's done enough in the right spots. I know the win is not a perfect stat, but interesting to see from a guy that's good at getting lefties out. One of the older guys in the bullpen. Had some listeners ask about him in weeks past, and I think ultimately he's a valuable part of the pen. Has struggled a little bit, does not have overwhelming stuff, but kind of an Adam Kolarek type that can just get lefties out. So I think that works just great. 10:57. We're about 3 minutes early, but we are going to head to a 2020 sports update. When we come back, we're going to talk all things tonight's Rays win. If you are just tuning in now, remember, during the break would be a great time to call us as well. The number to call, 877-566-1020. Here is the sports update. HBC. And we head to MLB action. Most games tonight have already gone final, the first of which the Mets 8-3 over the Marlins. The Dodgers 2-1 over the Mariners. Obviously, the Rays 6-3 win over the Yankees. It was Diamondbacks 10, Athletics 1. Padres win 6-4 over the Rangers. The San Francisco Giants take an 8-2 win over the Angels. In 11 innings, the Houston Astros 2-1 over the sliding Rockies. We head to current action in the top of the 10th. It is the Indians up 6-3 on the Pirates. A game that has just gone final. The Nationals 8-5 win over the Braves. In the 8th, it's the Phillies 10, Red Sox 5. Top of the 9th, Blue Jays and Orioles tied at 7. At bottom of the 8th, White Sox 8, Tigers 4. Also bottom of the 8th, Twins 2-0 over the Brewers. I believe it is Kenta Maeda. He may have lost it, but I believe last time I checked he has a no-hitter going. And in the bottom of the 6th, it is the Cubs 4-1 over the newly returned to play St. Louis Cardinals. Remember, number to call during the break, 877-566-1020.
Hey, sports fans! William's currently in the can, but he'll be right back. We're currently on a commercial break, so don't touch that dial. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036 or drop us a line on Twitter at WHBC Stream to tell us what's on your mind. We want to talk sports. We want to get unruly. We want you to tell us what you think so we can argue. Anyway, when all that's said and done, please stay tuned for William's world-famous Around the XFL podcast and other projects that he's currently got in the works. Please visit WHBCstream.com, and thanks again for listening in.
Sports Radio 1019 FM. Sports Radio 636. Sports Radio
HBC. And at 11 o'clock sharp, we are back on the William Haynes Show. We are live from the WHBC studio, now the newly minted studio in Tallahassee, Florida. If you're listening to us live, remember, number to call. We would love nothing more than to hear from you, hear your race thoughts, anything you have to say. 877-566-1020 at WHBC Stream is the Twitter. We had a question from Steven on Twitter, remember, at WHBC Stream. He says, how many votes do you think Brandon Lau has for American League MVP? I was trying to dig up during the break how many MVP votes there are, and I couldn't find an exact number, but I would have to say right now, at least half, if not more. I mean, obviously, guys like Mike Trout that are the more well-known players. I'm trying to think other in the American League. Aaron Judge was extremely hot before he went on the injured list. Obviously now, however many games he misses is going to cost him, but he was ripping off home runs like they were singles. So he was obviously in that discussion. But with the week that Brandon Lau had, I don't have his exact line. I can pull up his stats here in a second. I mean, he's batting over 300. He's doing everything. He hit his 8th home run tonight. You really can't ask anything more from him. So his stats here on the season, he's batting .337, 8 home runs, now 23 RBIs. That's tied for 7th most, and an OPS of over 1100, which is 22nd. His 8 home runs are tied for 9th, and his .337 average is tied for 10th. So right now, the easy answer is obviously top 10 rankings in American League MVP. Well, you'd have probably slide him up because that's all of the majors. So maybe you think top 5. If he keeps this pace up, I mean, you're talking top 3. Obviously, he was very good last year, and then he goes, I believe it was a broken foot or something weird like that, and misses a lot of time in 2019. But when he went on the injured list, he was in discussions, the clear favorite, I think, when he went down for American League Rookie of the Year. So if he had stayed healthy, he certainly would have taken that award home. and now garnering some attention for American League MVP, and I think that conversation is justified. And if you want to make your case for Brandon Lau as AL MVP, the number to call to get on the show, 877-566-1020, and we have Kenta Maeda chasing the first no-hitter of the 2020 season. We head to the ninth inning, so I'm going to go ahead and pull that game up here on the monitor. We'll substitute the Lakers and Blazers game because obviously the first no-hitter of the season would be huge. Let me pull up his line. I know this was something that I was paying attention to during the game, and that would be something really interesting if we are on the air live when that happens. Good thing I have the MLB at bat, and we'll go with the Minnesota Twins broadcast. Just give me a minute to get that up. His line right now, 8 innings pitched, no hits, obviously, 2 walks, 12 strikeouts, 113 pitches. So he is certainly taxed right now. So we have the game here on the monitor, and we will keep an eye on that. Certainly, he's facing Eric Sogard first. He's thrown 113 pitches again, and his first pitch to Sogard is right down the middle at 88 for a strike. If you recall, Kenta Maeda coming over from the Dodgers to the Twins as part of that Mookie Betts deal. Remember, it was the 3-team deal. Alex Verdugo went from the Dodgers to the Sox. Also, Jeter Downs, the top prospect, headed to Boston. But there was other parts as Eric Sogard just got a hit right over the glove of Polanco. So I don't know if that's me jinxing it. I know I'm not the only one. Obviously, the notifications were flying with Kenta Maeda no-hitter through 8. So obviously at 115 pitches or whatever, his day is going to be done. The dugout with a standing ovation. That is kind of a shame. That would have been cool to see a no-hitter this year as Rocco Baldelli, former Rays player and coach, now manager of the Minnesota Twins, comes out to relieve Kenta Maeda. So that was certainly a short-lived narrative. Kind of fun, no doubt. So Kenta Maeda, 115 pitches, gives up 1 hit in 8 innings. So no doubt a really good start from him. The Twins are up 3-0, so they'll probably take this game. But Eric Sogard, the former Ray, comes through for the Milwaukee Brewers and spoils a no-hitter. So we will return back to regularly scheduled programming. On the monitor, we have the Vegas Golden Knights that have the Chicago Blackhawks on the brink of elimination, and we have the Lakers and Trailblazers in Game 1 of their playoff series. Remember, number to call here. We will be with you. Not sure if we'll make it till 12, but if we can get the calls going, who knows. 877-566-1020. Already had a question on the Twitter. If you want to do that, the Twitter is at WHBC Stream, and I cannot delay it any longer. No more no-hit bids to distract me. We will now talk about tonight's Rays 6-3 win. The Rays advance to 15-9 on the season, and for the first time this year, they are over 500 on the road. 7-6 on the road. The New York Yankees dropped to 16-7. They are now 10-2 at home, but really, this was their first loss in the Bronx. Their other home loss, quote unquote. They were the designated home team in a 7-inning doubleheader game in Philadelphia. So there was a stat: the Yankees had tied a team record for most consecutive home wins to start a season. Again, 10 straight wins in Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. So the Rays spoil a chance for the 2020 Yankees to set that record. So all they can do is tie. The Rays 6-3 over the Yankees. It was Blake Snell getting the win. It was an interesting start, to say the least, from him. He goes five innings pitched, gives up 3 earned runs on 4 hits, walks 2, strikes out 3, gives up 2 home runs in the process. 92 pitches, 54 of which were for strikes. So 92 pitches, you think he's just about stretched out. Maybe we'll see him go over 100 pitches and maybe 6 innings his next time out. And for the Yankees, it was Masahiro Tanaka taking the loss. 4 innings pitched, 5 earned runs on 8 hits. The Rays chased him relatively early. We'll talk about all that. The lineup for the Rays defense, it was Meadows in left, Kiermaier in center, and Brandon Lau in right. Lau later in the game moved over to second. And then the infield from left to right, it was Yoshi at third, Adames at short, it was Wendell at second, and it was G-Man Choi at first base. Yandy was the DH, and Michael Perez was catching, and obviously Blake Snell was starting. And the lineup was Meadows, Lau, Diaz, which was a good, well, not for Diaz, but it's a good top of the order. Choi cleaned up, but went 0 for 4, and then it was Wendell Adames, and then to finish it out, it was Setsugo, Kiermaier, and Perez. So the bottom of the order generated once again. It was Kiermaier with a couple extra base hits, a triple and a double, and Michael Perez knocking in a run. He goes 3 for 2, scores a run of his own. So that 8-9 spot has continued to produce for the Rays as of late in the top of the order as well. Meadows 2 for 4, knocks in a run, scores 2 himself, and Brandon Lau 1 for 3 with a 3-run homer, which we'll talk about here in a second. Other notes that I had pregame, obviously, Masahiro Tanaka, his success versus the Rays, especially in the Bronx. I believe he was 4-0, something like that, against the Rays in Yankee Stadium. Obviously, the Yankees lineup is not what it once was. Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, and DJ LeMahieu, their top 3 hitters, all on the injured list currently. So, obviously not the same Yankees team, but this was the narrative for them last year. They had the guys stepping up, Miguel Andujar, Tyler Estrada, Clint Frazier, Mike Tauchman, so on and so forth. Luke Voigt leading off, which ultimately paid off. So the Rays did catch a break in that regard. And then also the big narrative, the Rays under Kevin Cash going into this contest were 13-35, which was since 2015 in Yankee Stadium. So obviously the House of Horrors, as I mentioned early in the broadcast. I can't quite say that's over yet, that the Rays have bucked that trend, but certainly in the right direction. The Rays have been red hot on this road trip. Only 1 loss, as I do the math quickly. I believe that they are 6-1, or make that now 7-1 on the road trip, as the Rays now a season high watermark, 6 games above 500. They're now only a game and a half back of first place and separate themselves now to 2 games clean from the Orioles. So if the Rays take the next 2 games to get the sweep, the Rays will be sole holders of first place. In the American League East, the inning-by-inning breakdown. In the first inning, it was Masahiro Tanaka throws 16 pitches and puts the Rays down in order 1, 2, 3. Also of note, Brandon Lau was like a 400-foot fly out to dead center. So you thought maybe he had a potential to really do some damage against the Yankees tonight, and he ends up doing just that. We go to the bottom of the first. Snell throws 20 pitches. Gets a little bit interesting, but no runs scored. Leadoff walk to Luke Voigt. It was Gio Urshela flying out to right. It was a wild pitch that advanced Voigt to second base in that Urshela at-bat, and then Torres in a 3-1 count flies out. So the Yankees threatened early, but did not get any runs across. Top of the second. The Rays get a chance, but catch a bad break. It was Wendell with 1 out on a 3-2 count, doubles down the right field line, and then it was again, this is with only 1 out. Adames in a 1-1 count. It was a really strange double play. It was like a kind of a flare to center field. Aaron Hicks ends up catching it, but there was some confusion. Maybe Wendell thought there was 2 outs, so he's running. He doesn't even look at the play. He's just running, and also the third base coach, Rodney Linares, is waving him home. So you got to think that they thought it was 2 outs. There was some sort of confusion there, obviously, because it was caught and he couldn't get back to second base in time. So they double him off there. And obviously, if the Rays went on to lose, by a run or whatever, that would have been the narrative. But obviously, the Rays were able to overcome that mistake. I'd be interested to see the explanation for that, but obviously it didn't end up mattering too much. In the bottom of the second, Snell issues another leadoff walk, gets out of it with only 10 pitches in the inning with a double play. It was Mike Tauchman striking out and Clint Frazier grounding into the double play, so Snell keeps the pitch count down. Top of the third, the Rays poured on. It was a Brandon Lau homer. It was Kevin Kiermaier hitting a triple. It was a shot down the right field line. Clint Frazier had a bit of a juggle. Michael Perez hits an RBI single to make it 1-0 Rays. And then Meadows singles, so it's first and second with 1 out, and up comes Brandon Lau, and it's a 3-run homer, his 8th of the year, that made it 4-0 Rays, and then a couple of ground outs, or a ground and a fly out, I should say, to end the inning. So through only 3 for Masahiro Tanaka. He had already given up 4 runs to the Rays, which is certainly not the trend that he is used to. Go to the bottom of the third. Blake Snell gets through 3 innings pitched clean. Throws only 45 pitches doing so, which I guess is decent pacing. Not much really else to say there. Top of the 4th, the Rays get a run across to make it 5-0. It was Willie Damas running out an infield single. And then Kevin Kiermaier doubled to make it 2nd and 3rd with 2 outs. And Michael Perez, he ultimately strikes out in the at-bat, but during the AB, a wild pitch, it was ruled a pass ball on Gary Sanchez. Adames scores to make it 5-0 Rays. Bottom of the inning, Snell has a bit of a hiccup. Through 4 innings, he had 68 pitches, which surprisingly was 1 more than Tanaka, though Tanaka had given up 4 runs. So just an interesting that's how the Yankees jack out the pitch counts on pitchers. That's how they do things. Get the walks and the home runs. That's usually how they win ball games. He got Hicks to ground out, Torres to ground out, so you think maybe he's cruising, and then it was Gary Sanchez with a solo shot, a real blast off the bat that made it 5-1 Rays. It was the 5th home run in only 21 at-bats versus Snell. I believe that's the most home runs of any player against Blake Snell. So whatever reason, Gary Sanchez has Snellzilla's number to the tune of a solo home run. Obviously, did not end up mattering too much, and then it gets Tauchman to strike out to get through 4 innings, only giving up a run. Top of the 5th, the Rays get the run back and end up knocking out Tanaka in the process. To lead off the inning, it was Austin Meadows. He also led off the lineup with a solo home run that made it 6-1 Rays. And they also mentioned on the radio broadcast, Dave and Andy on 620 WDAE, they have a stat tool or whatever that on home runs, how many ballparks would it have been a home run in? That solo home run would have been a home run in every park. So that was cool for him. Certainly a good blast off the bat. Masahiro Tanaka comes out and Nick Nelson comes in. So Tanaka starts the 5th inning but cannot get any outs. Nick Nelson, a guy who obviously is not well known for the Yankees, not one of the back end pieces. I believe Aroldis Chapman is back, but he did not appear tonight. Nick Nelson really did some damage against the Rays. He had 3 innings pitched, only gave up a hit, no runs, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. Did much better than Tanaka, obviously. And again, Tanaka's line, he gets the loss. He's now 0-1. 4 innings pitched, 5 earned runs on 8 hits, no walks, 2 strikeouts, 2 home runs, a 3-run shot to Snell, to Lau, and then a solo home run by Austin Meadows. And then obviously Nick Nelson comes in to get 3 innings. So he comes in, walks Brandon Lau, and then he gets moved over all the way to 3rd, but they cannot bring him across. So after 5, it was, I believe, 6-1 Rays. So obviously, as you can tell, they did not add on any insurance. Bottom of the 5th, it was Blake Snell. He gets all the way up to 91 pitches, and the narrative on his night did change a little bit. Gets Clint Frazier to fly out, then Andujar to fly out. So you're thinking again, this, I guess, happened to him twice tonight where he gets 2 outs and then struggles. You think maybe he's cruising. Tyro Estrada hits a single to put a man on base, and then it was Luke Voigt with a 2-run shot that made it 6-3 Rays. So obviously, that changes the narrative on the game because at that point, it's no longer kind of a blowout. It was 6-1, and Blake Snell, it's all about just getting him innings. Now all of a sudden, it's a real ball game. It's in the bottom of the 5th, and now it's a 3-run game with a Yankees lineup, while depleted, certainly can do some damage in its own right. So, but he ends up getting through the inning, gets Urshela to ground out. So 6-3 Rays. After 5, we go to the top of the 6th. The Rays go down in order. So it was Nick Nelson cruising along. And then bottom of the 6th, it was the bullpen starting off with a 1-2-3 inning. So it was Peter Fairbanks to start the 6th. So Blake Snell's night finished with 5 innings pitched, 3 earned runs on 4 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, and really 2 home runs. But obviously much better than most of the starts he's had in Yankee Stadium. Throws 92 pitches, only 54 of which were for strikes. His control did look, well, I'll say this. His control looked better as far as fastballs up. Did not throw as many of those fastballs that were non-competitive because of how high they were. That was obviously a point of emphasis for him after his last start against the Yankees. He went 3 innings without giving up a hit in that game, but just threw way too many non-competitive pitches. This game, I'm not sure if it was a fault of his own or the Yankees were just taking some pitches, but a lot of curveballs bounced in the dirt, sliders taken down. So still not throwing as many strikes as he'd like. As far as first pitch strikes go, Blake Snell faced 20 batters, and in those 20 batters, only 10 of those at-bats did he get the first pitch strike, which obviously with a guy with stuff like him is not an absolute key. When you're talking guys like, obviously he's not a starter, but an Andrew Kittredge or an Aaron Loop who doesn't have overwhelming stuff, it's crucial to get that first pitch strike to get ahead. So that way, obviously when you don't have overwhelming stuff, the hitters kind of know what's coming, so you can't really get around that. But if you're ahead in the count, it certainly helps. But with Blake Snell and a Tyler Glasnow type, where your stuff is just so good, you're allowed to kind of have leeway and be a little bit rowdy with the control. So maybe something to work on. He did walk 2 men. The 2 home runs was a concern, but obviously he gets the win. He's now 2-0 on the year. 5 innings pitched. I would probably say hopefully after his next start, he will be fully stretched out, and hopefully they can keep him healthy as the Rays go down the stretch, as now we have played just about 24 games, so 6 games left to the halfway mark. So we are kind of trudging along in the season. Is now 11:19. We're going to head to another 2020 sports update and give you, we'll do the NBA basketball scores now that there is real playoffs. Number to call during the break. We'll be with you right up until about 12. A number to call, 877-566-1020. Here are the NBA scores. HBC. Just one game left in action. The final seconds in the third quarter. It is the Portland Trailblazers 76-73 over the Los Angeles Lakers. Obviously, the Lakers expected to win that series easily. And some games that have gone final, a real upset, a 1v8 seed. The Magic win 122-110 over the Milwaukee Bucks. So they have a 1-0 series lead. Nikola Vucevic, 35 points, 14 rebounds. Giannis had 31 points, 17 boards. The Miami Heat take game 1, 113-101 over the Pacers. It was Jimmy Butler leading the way with 28 points. And the Rockets, 123-108 over the Thunder. It was James Harden with 37 points, and Chris Paul was 1 assist away from a triple-double. Again, number to call in the break, 877-566-1020.
Hey, sports fans! William's currently in the can, but he'll be right back. We're currently on a commercial break, so don't touch that dial. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036 or drop us a line on Twitter at WHBCStream to tell us what's on your mind. We want to talk sports. We want to get unruly. We want you to tell us what you think so we can argue. Anyway, when all that's said and done, please stay tuned for William's world-famous Around the XFL podcast and other projects that he's currently got in the works. Please visit WHBCStream.com, and thanks again for listening in.
Sports Radio 1019 FM. Sports Radio 66. Sports Radio
HBC. And at 11:22, we are back on the William Haynes Show, the WHBC studio in Tallahassee, Florida. First show from the new studio, so working out some things. I apologize for people that follow the Twitter on at WHBC Stream on Twitter. For whatever reason, whether it was the Wi-Fi or something, I had issues getting the show started, so I had like 5 or 6 test streams that basically had no audio. So I'll go on and delete those. So if you're listening to this post tomorrow, whatever the fact is, you probably will have no idea what I'm talking about. But for people that are listening, we apologize for the technical difficulties as we try and get used to this new studio. A bit of a strange thing, no doubt. I believe where we left off, it was in the 6th inning. It was the bullpen coming in for Blake Snell again. Snell gets through 5, gives up 3 earned runs, gets the win. And it was Peter Fairbanks, first man out of the pen. He's really coming into his own. He pitched a 1-2-3 inning, fans Aaron Hicks and Gleyber Torres, and gets Gary Sanchez out for a clean 1-2-3. That was it for him. 1 inning pitch, 2 strikeouts, 12 pitches, 9 of which were for strikes. So again, he's certainly heating up. 6th inning, not a super high leverage spot, but a kind of a flamethrower type that they expect to do good things in the bullpen. I think he's proving his worth, especially with guys like Oliver Drake and now Jose Alvarado out. There's going to have to be somebody to step up, and I think you got to like what you're seeing from Fairbanks right now. We go to the top of the 7th. Nick Nelson continues to shut down the Rays. It was Perez getting a leadoff hit. He tries to stretch a single into a double, but gets thrown out. And then Meadows and Brandon Lau were retired. So we go to the top of the 7th, and this is where it got real interesting. It was the bases loaded with 1 out, and the Yankees do not end up getting any runs across. This was really the crucial breaking point of the game. It was Fairbanks coming out, obviously Castillo in to start the 7th. To face the 6, 7, 8 hitters, I mean, it's Mike Tauchman, Clint Frazier, and Miguel Andujar. So obviously decent hitters in their own right, but I mean, not super intimidating. Tauchman went 0 for 2 with a walk. Clint Frazier 1 for 4. Andujar 1 for 3 with a walk. So obviously, I mean, yeah, make of that what you will. It was Tauchman working a 4-pitch leadoff walk and non-competitive at-bat from Castillo. And then Clint Frazier singled to make it 1st and 2nd with nobody out. So that brings the tying run to the plate in Miguel Andujar. He moves the runners over and is retired. So it's 2nd and 3rd with 1 out. And it is Mike Ford pinch hitting for Tyro Estrada. He gets hit by a pitch to make the bases loaded with 1 out. Tyler Wade comes to run for him at first base, obviously to avoid the double play because that would end the inning and would score no runs. But then Diego Castillo, this is where he comes around. He gets Voit to strike out. That was a huge at-bat, probably one of the biggest at-bats of the game. I mean, he was a guy that had already hit a 2-run homer, and he's at the plate with the bases loaded. That home run there would have taken the lead, and I believe even a single would have made it a 1-run game. So it was crucial at-bat. And Castillo, with his stuff, strikes out Luke Voit. So you got to love what you see there. And then Gio Urshela grounds out to 3rd base, and a nice play from Setsugo to retire the side. So again, bases loaded with 1 out. Castillo gets out of it. Certainly an exciting appearance for Castillo. Picks up his first hold of the year, which is kind of surprising. An inning pitched, 1 hit, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, a hit by pitch. 21 pitches, 9 of which were for strikes. I think that was maybe the biggest thing of him. In the 6 batters that he faced, only in 2 of those did he throw a first pitch strike. So obviously a small sample size, but that, I mean, there's takeaways there. Hopefully, I mean, he's got a 0 ERA, has yet to give up a run. So you like what he's doing this year. I've been big on getting him more time. And obviously in the 7th inning, that's a relatively big spot, although against the bottom of the order. We head to the top of the 8th inning. It was Luis Cessa comes in for Nelson, and he mows the Rays down in order. It was Yandy Diaz striking out, and Choi grounds out, and Wendell lines out. So 1-2-3 inning. Bottom of the 8th, Castillo comes out, Nick Anderson in. This was really the most quote-unquote high-leverage spot, and puts the runners down in order 1-2-3. It was Luke Voit, Gio Urshela, and Aaron Hicks, if I'm not mistaken. Or no, it was gotcha, because Voit struck out with a base load. So it was Urshela, Hicks, and Torres. So the 2, 3, 4 hitters. That's really some of the best hitters in the Yankees lineup right now. So that's why you bring Nick Anderson in the 8th and not the 9th. That's why Anderson is not picking up the saves like you would expect for a guy that's been so lights out. He gets Hicks to fly out. It was an 8-pitch at bat. It was I think the count was 0-2 the entire time, and Hicks just kept fouling him back. And then gets Torres and Sanchez to strike out. So Anderson keeps doing what he does as far as the strikeout is concerned. He has yet to give up an earned run either. So I'd like to see how many innings he's pitched. I mean, he's been lights out. 13 strikeouts. I'm trying to see how many they may not. In 10 games, he is at 8 1/3 innings pitched, 4 hits, no runs. Only a walk, 13 strikeouts. So obviously he's continuing to do what he does or what he did last year. But it is just absurd when you see it on paper how automatic he has been. We head to the top of the 9th inning. It was the Rays. I said the Rays aren't in the insurance business, and they were not able to tack on. Adama strikes out, Yoshi flies out, and Kevin Kiermaier strikes out. So they were not able to add any insurance. They had the 6 runs, I believe, after 5 innings. And they did not add on after that. So really all their runs came in the first 4 innings to really nail it. So, I mean, 6 runs should be enough to get you a win, but against a team like the Yankees, I know they didn't have their hitters. That would have been interesting to see with Judge, Stanton, and DJ LeMahieu all at full strength. If that game would have shook out any differently, how Snell would have been able to do, but you can only beat the men in front of you, and the Rays did just that tonight. We go to the bottom of the 9th inning. Nick Anderson comes out and Chaz Rowe in. Again, Nick Anderson, 1 inning pitched, no hits, no runs, obviously. 2 strikeouts, no walks, 16 pitches, 13 of which were for strikes, and that's why I keep mentioning the first pitch strikes. Throwing strikes is so important. You get ahead of hitters, and I mean that's how he picks up the strikes out. It's plain and simple. He keeps it in the strike zone, does not let hitters get in front of him, and that's really the winning formula. That's a big. Obviously, what Castillo did was probably the biggest moment, but Nick Anderson in the most high leverage spot obviously doesn't get the save. But in all honesty, he really did save the day. And Chaz Rowe comes on to get the official save in the 9th inning. And an 0-2 count against Mike Tauchman. It was a hit by pitch on a slider that it bounced in the dirt and then hit Tauchman on the foot. So that was really frustrating. And I think the way things have gone in the Bronx lately, again, 13-35 going into tonight in Yankee Stadium under Kevin Cash. And you think that, I mean, that's just how, that's just what seems to happen to the Yankees. They just catch those kind of breaks, and you think they get a man on with nobody out, and you're like, here we go again. The leadoff base runners, you think it's going to come back to get you. But no, it was Clint Frazier lining into a double play. It was a hot shot off the bat, goes right to Wendell. It was Mike Tauchman, I guess, running on contact, so they double him off at first. And that really put to bed any concerns. Andujar walks with the Yanks down to their final out to keep things alive, and Tyler Wade flies out decently deep to center. The home run would have made it a 1-run game. With 2 outs, so not huge, but it was certainly an entertaining way to end the game. Again, Blake Snell getting the win in 5 innings pitched, 3 earned runs on 4 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, 2 home runs. The 92 pitches was good to get him stretched out. The only 54 of them being for strikes was a bit concerning, but he continues to kind of trudge on and have success. It looks like his next save, unless he gets bumped for a Charlie Morton appearance, will be this Sunday in the afternoon against the Blue Jays in Tropicana Field. Nate Pearson is scheduled, the local Tampa Bay area product. I want to say St. Pete High, so extremely familiar to that area, getting his first career start against the team he grew up watching. So Snell v. Pearson, if that ends up shaking out that way on a Sunday afternoon, will certainly be entertaining. Any other takeaways from the game? Again, Nick Anderson was huge. Fairbanks, I thought, a really good appearance. Diego Castillo, he ended up getting out of it, so you really can't give him any crap, but the bases loaded against the Yankees team and Luke Voit had a lot of Rays fans, I'm sure, pretty scared, and then he strikes out Voit and ends up getting out of it. So, and then Chaz Rowe has been fairly successful this year, a 3 ERA. Coming in the 9th inning shows the faith they have in him. And then also for the offense, I think it was huge to knock out Tanaka, a guy that they have been notorious for struggling against, especially in Yankee Stadium, so that they can knock him out in 4+ innings pitched. He takes the loss tonight, I think was relatively big. I think he only gave up 1 hit through 5 innings. It was leadoff single, and then he shut him down through 5. When we thought he would probably only be able to go 3 or so as he was still getting stretched out. So they knock him out here. They win 6-3. They're now just a game and a half back of New York for first place. So if they take these next 2 games, they will be the sole owner of first place in the American League East, and we hope that the Rays can do just that. We look at the lineup again. I mentioned Meadows leads off and goes 2 for 4, knocks in a run. You like what he's doing. He's batting .271 right now, and I think is extremely valuable in that leadoff spot. I'll also interrupt myself to let you know if you're listening to the program here, as we will probably put a wraps on things relatively soon. A number to call, 877-566-1020 if you want to be the first caller to get on the show from the Tallahassee studio. We have had some callers from the Clearwater studio, but obviously now a new setup here. Other takeaways, Yandy Diaz in the lineup did not contribute, 0 for 4 with the strikeout, but he has been hot as of late, so obviously just a bad game. You can't knock him. He's still batting .286. On base is .415 with all those walks, so you got to keep him in the lineup. And Choi, I do not like Choi cleaning up, and I've been saying this for a while. I don't know exactly what you want to pin it on. He went 0 for 4 tonight. No walks, no strikeouts. He's now batting .169 on the year, on base of only .267. There's been talks of that, now that he's staggering, his batting practice and everything from both the left and the right side of the plate, that he, obviously the logic is if you're good at the left, batting left, and then you start practicing right, you're just not going to be as good at either one of those specifically, but obviously the value of a switch hitter has been proven. I think it's kind of, an Aaron Hicks situation. He doesn't necessarily bat well, I believe, from the right side, but he can do it competently. So, if you're facing a lefty, why not bat from the right side to give yourself that extra advantage? I guess that's the experiment that's going on right now with Choi. Has not hit well, I believe, from either side of the plate. I know he hit a home run from the right side in a very exciting game that I think will go down probably in Ray's lore. And from the left side, I don't know if ESPN has the splits. I'll check. But that would be interesting. Maybe I can dig that up at some point just to see his lefty-righty splits. They don't have it on here, I don't believe. But really, with a 169 average, has not been good at all. They don't have the batting lefty-righty, I believe. Yeah. So, cleaning up, I don't like. They're committed to keep him in the lineup, I guess. And against a righty starter, I understand the left-handed hitter cleaning up. I don't love it. I hope they move off of it. Joey Wendell in the 5 spot, 1 for 4. Not a whole lot of production, but he did give you some, including good defense. Adames goes 1 for 4. And then it was Sisugo, 0 for 4. He's now batting 194, dips under 200. So he got real hot there in Boston, and I believe in a little bit in Buffalo. So hopefully this was just an off night for him. And then the bottom of the lineup, I think that really helped power this offense. Ultimately, in the 8 spot, Kiermaier 2 for 4. And Perez 2 for 3. So I like that 1-2 punch, especially the lefties against the righty starter at the bottom of the order was a really good way to structure that. They went 2 for 6 as a team with runners in scoring position and left 2 men on base. They had 2 double plays in the game. So obviously you like what you see. They score 6 runs, get the half off Papa John's pizza tomorrow, and continue to trudge along a good win and a decent start from Blake Snell. To keep the Rays rolling. They're now 15-9 and firmly now in second place in the American League East. We now look ahead to tomorrow, and it will be a rematch. Tyler Glasnow v. Garrett Cole in the Bronx this time. We recall a 7-inning doubleheader where these two guys faced each other, and it was not a good start at all from Glasnow. I want to get his final line. He goes 2 2/3, gives up 4 earned runs on 5 hits. A home run, I believe, to Mike Ford, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, was kind of all over the place. Obviously, 7 innings, they pull him a little earlier, than if it was just a traditional start. 2 2/3 is not the end of the world. I think when you look at that on paper, he's looked good. We look at his last start on the 13th, so 5 days ago. That was the 17-8 win. He goes 4 innings pitched, 5 earned runs on 8 hits, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, did not give up any home runs for the first time, I believe, in a start this year. So he is, I can't say on the ups. He's not gotten to the 5th inning, I believe, in a start this year. I want to confirm that real quick. Yeah, I mean, he has not gotten into a 5th inning. So against the Yankees lineup, although they are down, obviously Stanton, Judge, and LeMahieu, that helps. I would be interested to see if he has control. Obviously, Snell has struggled with control against the Yankees, but has been able to kind of get through it. I'm not sure if Glasnow will have that same luxury, and of course, the offense will not be as fruitful tonight will not be as fruitful tomorrow as it was tonight. Obviously, facing Garrett Cole, his last start against the Red Sox. Dear Lord, 7 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 4 hits, gives up a home run, no walks, 8 strikeouts. And you look at some of his other starts against Philly, goes 6 innings. And it gives up a run against Baltimore, 6 2/3, gives up 3 runs. So, I mean, he's getting depth. He's fully stretched out. He went 7 innings the last time up. I mean, it's not wishful thinking, but you think probably Garrett Cole is going to get probably into the 6th or 7th inning again. The righty pitcher, they're going to load up the lefties. So you think probably Meadows in left again, Kiermaier in center. Maybe they do Brandon Lau in the outfield, or if you wanted to do it, you could do it's all up. You could do Yoshi in left as well and move Meadows over to right, and then the infield. If you don't have Yoshi in the outfield, you would put him at third base. Shortstop, you need every advantage you can get. I would go Wendell, the lefty, at shortstop, Brandon Lau at second base, and then I guess you would have to go G-Man Choi at first, and then have hopefully Michael Perez catching again, and it will be against Tyler Glasnow. So that will certainly be an interesting contest. We are now heading towards another 2020 sports break at about 11:40. We'll give you the hockey scores here, and then I want to talk about a little MLB standings and where things are shaking out right now. So we'll wrap the show here shortly. But we will be taking your calls right until we go off the air. The number to call is 877-566-1020. Here are the hockey scores. HBC. Just one NHL contest currently in action. Final seconds in the first period. It is the Blackhawks 2-1 over the Golden Knights. The Blackhawks with their backs against the wall. The Golden Knights with a 3-1 series lead. The Flyers 2-0 over the Canadiens. They now have a 3-1 lead of their own and push the Canadiens to the brink of elimination. The Dallas Stars, in what a series that they have began to have against the Flames, a 2-1 win today. They now have a 3-2 series lead over the Calgary Flames, and the Capitals avoid elimination and a sweep. A 3-2 win over the Islanders. New York Islanders still hold a 3-1 series lead.
Hey, sports fans! William's currently in the can, but he'll be right back. We're currently on a commercial break, so don't touch that dial. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036 or drop us a line on Twitter at WHBC Stream to tell us what's on your mind. We want to talk sports. We want to get unruly. We want you to tell us what you think so we can argue. Anyway, when all that's said and done, please stay tuned for William's world-famous Around the XFL podcast and other projects that he's currently got in the works. Please visit WHBCstream.com, and thanks again for listening in.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM. Sports Radio 66. Sports Radio
HBC. And at 11:42, we are back on the William Haynes Show. Final 20 minutes or so, if we can push it to that 12 o'clock hour, as we put a wrap on this show. Number to call to talk anything sports, Rays, Lightning, whatever you've got on your mind. 877-566-1020. Early in the second period, I guess the score didn't refresh. The Golden Knights just tacked on a goal. It is now tied to 2 goals apiece as the Vegas Golden Knights look to take this series in 5 games. Also, we have the Portland Trail Blazers and Lakers midway through or so in the fourth quarter. The Lakers up 6 points. It's 87-81, so we'll keep our eyes on that. LeBron James has had a pretty nice opening game. Also for the Trailblazers, guys like Carmelo Anthony, Damian Lillard. Certainly a good series. If you're interested in NBA, I certainly will keep a bit of an eye on it, as Carmelo just recorded his 5th personal foul, so on the brink of fouling out. One thing I wanted to continue the discussion with the MLB standings, just to kind of get an idea of where things are. I know things have changed a lot since we last kind of spoke about it. Some games that have gone final that were still active when I did the scores. In 10 innings, it was the Blue Jays up 8-7 on the Orioles. The Phillies 13-6 over the Red Sox. The Indians 6-3 over the Pirates. And now in extra innings, the Brewers came all the way. The Brewers came all the way back to tie. It is now 3-3 in the top of the 10th. So a really tough break for the Twins. They had a Kenta Maeda no-hitter going through 8 innings. He was at like 113 pitches. Eric Sogard breaks it up with a leadoff single, and the Brewers come back to tie that game. It has now gone into extras, and then in the 8th, it is the Cubs 6-1 over the Cardinals, who have just made a return to play. We look at the standings, obviously in the AL East. The Rays just a game and a half back of the Yankees, and then in second place, a couple games back of the Rays, it's the Orioles now at 12-11. So hopefully, the Orioles, the Jays, and the Red Sox just knock each other out again. The first and second place teams in every division is guaranteed a playoff spot, so the Rays don't need to win the AL East this year, but it would just be nice for bragging rights and perhaps for seeding. Not that it matters, no fans. If you're not familiar with how the playoffs is going to work, the first 2 place teams in every division, and then 2 wild cards. So we're going to have at least 2 third place teams and potentially a 4th place team, but I just don't see that happening. So 8 teams, and the way they're going to line it up: 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, 3 versus 6, so on and so forth. And the higher seed it'll be a 3-game series, and the higher seed all 3 games will be in their home stadium. So obviously, if the Rays are a higher seed, all 3 games will be in the Trop. Which, I mean, this road trip has been nice, but I mean, you paid attention to the Rays this year; they are playing much better in the Trop. And I think just all the COVID stuff, being able to be in your own home and not trapped in a hotel room. I mean, there's the human element to all of this, of course. So winning the division would be huge, and maybe making the Yankees go on the road. I don't know if it'll shake out that way. I think at least one second place team will host a series, so it may not matter anyway. But again, the Rays trying to catch up to first, and then the Orioles, Blue Jays not too far apart. The Orioles at 12-11, the Jays at 9-11, and the Red Sox with 9 straight losses are pretty much out of contention now at 6-18. Thankfully. Head to the AL Central. Things are still even since the last time we spoke. The Tigers have gone in the can a little bit. They have lost 7 straight. They're now 9-12. So 5 games back of first as they continue to run themselves out of contention. The Royals, I would say, are out of it at 9-14. And really, at this point, it's a 3-team race for 2 spots. The Twins lead it. They're just a game up at 15-8. The Indians a game back, 14-9. And the White Sox 2.5 games back of first at 13-11. Before the year started, and I think during the year, I had said that I expect the Twins to win the division, and so it's a 2-team race for 1 playoff spot with the Indians and the White Sox, and it's just who wants it more. Is it going to be an Indians team whose a playoff window is kind of closing, and a White Sox team with all their young prospects and free agent signings coming together, a team that but as their window just begins to open, we'll kind of maybe kick off some sort of dynasty or some little run going. So we'll keep our eye on that, but it looks pretty deadlocked still. Any team really could take first place as well. And then in the American League West, the Athletics did have a sizable lead, but then they kind of had a rough patch, and the Astros now have won 6 straight. It is the Athletics in first place at 16-8, and in second place, 2.5 games back, it's the Astros at 13-10. And the Rangers, who I said was out of it, I mean, they can compete for that second spot still, 10-12. And I would say out of it would be the Angels at 8-16 and the Mariners at 7-18. So again, another 3-team race for 2 spots. And then in the National League East, it is the Braves that have now taken first place at 14-11. And this is probably the most neck-and-neck division. The Marlins a game back at 9-8. The Phillies a game and a half back at 9-9. The Mets 3 games back at first at 11-14. And the Nats 3 games back at 9-12. Obviously, the wild card is not going to come from the NL East. You would expect. So 2 teams, it's obviously up for grabs. I mean, you look at the last 10 games for all these teams, they're all been 5-5 in their last 10, except the Marlins, who have been 3-7 on a skid. I don't see how the Marlins continue to keep it up. They had a nice little run going with the replacement players and whatnot. I just don't think they have the ammo, the ammunition to keep up. I thought the Phillies would be a good team going into this year, as I did with the Mets. The Nationals I have not been impressed with. I just don't think they have it in them this year. Some injuries and whatnot. In Atlanta, I guess the favorite to win the division. They've won that division 2 years in a row. NL Central, it is the Chicago Cubs leading it still at 14-7, and then it's pretty much all 500 clubs. It is the Cardinals at 5-5 as they have just returned to play. The Brewers at 10-10, and the Reds at 9-11, and out of it is the Pirates at 4-15. So obviously too early to tell, but it looks like the Cubs will win it, and it's a 2-team race for that one spot. A 3-team race for one spot between the Cardinals, Brewers, and Reds. So that'll be exciting. The Brewers, a team that I didn't expect much to do. The Cardinals, a team that I thought would win the division, and the Reds, a team that people were picking to go to the World Series. So certainly exciting there. And then the National League West, I think, which has changed the most. The Dodgers, somehow in the blink of an eye, they've won 7 straight, including 8 of their last 10. They are now leading that division by 4 games. When the last time I think we spoke about it, they were trailing by a handful of games. They're now 18-7. 4 games back is the Colorado Rockies, who are on an all-time skid. 2 straight losses, 3-7 in their last 10. It's the Diamondbacks who have gone on a run, 13-11. 6 straight wins, 8-2 in their last 10. The Padres, who have fallen out of it a little bit, they're now 5 games back at first at 13-12. And the Giants, who I would say with a negative 38 run differential at 9-16, I would count them out. So a 4-team race for 2 spots. Again, I thought the Diamondbacks were out of it, but they've came back from the dead. They're 2 games over 500. The Padres, who have slumped, obviously Tommy Pham is out for the year. That's a gut punch. A guy, clubhouse guy, top of the lineup, guy that can get on base, decent outfield, so on and so forth. So that's a tough blow for them, and of course the young team are going to have their ebbs and flows. You think of the Rays in the last couple seasons, really gone on some skids and have been really good at times as well. So it'll be if they can get hot at the right time. The Rockies, I think their time has kind of expired. I don't know. I believe, Charlie Blackmon has to be at least hitting over 400. I know he was hitting 500 at one point, which this deep into the season is absolutely absurd. He's going on a tear at 35 years old, and the Dodgers, the best team in the National League, without a doubt, in first place in that division. So that's kind of how things are shaking out right now in the MLB. As far as hockey goes, I gave you the scores today. The games tomorrow, the Lightning have a chance to put a wrap on that series. That game is on at noon. 3-1 over the Blue Jackets. Bruins and Hurricanes, Boston up 3-1. The Avalanche and Coyotes play. Colorado is up 3-1. Also, as we look, as the Blackhawks are now up 3-2. By the way, also we have the Canadiens and Flyers. Philly is up 3-1. So a lot of series that can be put away tomorrow, and then one series that is tied. The Canucks and Blues that are tied at 2 games apiece. JT Miller, former Tampa Bay Lightning center for Vancouver, is leading the way for the Canucks. So certainly interesting. Hopefully the Lightning can put a wraps on that series and put the all the Columbus stuff to bed and move on. Looks like obviously they're going to reseed it. I would expect the Caps to be knocked out at some point. Ovechkin kept them alive today, but the Islanders will eventually go on to win that series. The Flyers, who are the 1 seed but aren't threatening, at least to a team like the Lightning by any means. Bruins are probably going to take the series. I mean, a lot of people were probably anticipating a Boston Tampa Bay series at some point, and they're a team that we've sent home in the last couple of years. So I mean, you look up and down. Obviously, if you had to ask me, the biggest roadblock in the way of the Lightning, I would say would be the New York Islanders. But we'll see. Hopefully they don't give up a 3 games to 1 lead. That would just be absolutely tragic. As we're gonna go ahead and put a wrap on the show. First show from the new studio in Tallahassee. I want to thank everyone who tuned into the program tonight. It was a little bit weird. I had some technical difficulties, just struggling, just kind of getting used to the new studio and whatnot. So thank you to everyone that bared with me. I will be on tomorrow, probably about the same time after the Rays game. Again, it'll be Tyler Glasnow v. Garrett Cole. Obviously, you don't love the Rays' chances, but maybe if they can continue this red-hot streak they've been on, maybe they can surprise the world. Again, probably at about 10 or 11 o'clock we'll be on. And we'll take your calls, do everything then. We will talk to you tomorrow.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM and Sports Radio 66. The Fan.
HBC.